Okay, we're gonna take a look at how to incorporate video into our 2D game today. Cutscenes, yes. And I have an older version of Unity at home, so I hope this all works. We'll see how this goes. Need to get my version updated. Out there in Blackboard, I put a sample video. So if you just click it, it'll come up and you'll see it. And it's not a very long one. I had to watch it before class. So I was thinking, I hope I didn't say any bad words in the video because I was playing with my dog, and she loves to play kind of like a ton type game with me. And so here's the video. So if I got to share let me reshare that, sharing the sound. Okay, it's shared. She bit my hand. She didn't mean to. She's got such a sweetheart. Okay, so I'm going to right click on that, say save video as, and where am I going to save it at? I guess my doc or pictures. And I'll click save. Now, where could this be used at? Um, you have, like you say, a kind of a cutaway scene where you're um, kind of showing a background of a story. My idea of creating a tutorial, kind of a guided tutorial for people to learn coding. Well, I could have video um, scenes put in there. The part I don't know for sure yet is I don't think it puts the video directly into the EXE. That'd be very inefficient if it did. That's part I'd have to check to see if it making guided tutorial for learning like HTML or learning JavaScript. Having those available there would make it invaluable. A lot of people just think of Unity as a game development, and that's what it is. But there's so much more you can do with it. Okay, so I downloaded that image. What I'm going to do first is I'm just going to play a video at runtime. So nothing too exciting on that. So we're going to import the video clip into the assets. That's step one. So I come down here, right click on that, import new asset. And let me see, save the pictures. Here's my video. Then we want to create an empty game object. So I'm gonna, over here in the hierarchy, I'll right click and create empty. And I'm gonna give it a name, video player. Just change that over here in the inspector, or you can right click on this and choose rename, either one. On the empty game object, there we want to create a video player. So over here where it says add component, I'll type in video player. This is the new component for this. There's another one out there that's called deprecated, and that means that eventually it'll disappear. This is the one that they're going to. Now we want to drag and drop our video clip onto onto the video clip. What I mean by that is over here you'll see an option under the video player called video clip. So we want to take this my picture of my dog here and drag and drop that onto the video clip right here. You can also do this little circle to the right, and it would pop up with the videos that are there. Now this would be like if you're trying to put your video as a background. So maybe if you wanted to kind of a lightning storm as your background or something like that. It would take a lot to do the different animations and so forth to achieve the effect. We just like want a movie playing there. Let's see, which setting is this? Change render mode. So down here is render mode. And you see there's camera far plane, camera near plane, render texture, trailer override, API only, and they tell us to use camera far plane. That will appear in the background. And then drag and drop the main camera onto camera. You'll notice there's a camera option here. And so this main camera over here, we can drag and drop that onto here. And that worked just fine. Click that, drag it, drop it onto there. Or you can do that little circle to the right and choose the camera that way. That way, if you had different cameras, you could associate it with your video. And that was our last step in terms of that. So now if I play it, now it's we're going to see how to rotate it here shortly in terms of the other ones. This is just playing as our background. I don't think in the background you have a kind of capability to rotate it. I could be wrong. This would rotate our empty, but I don't think it'd rotate our video. Let's change that 270 and see if that does. No. The play on awake. Actually, is you see there's a video clip here. There's also an URL, a URL. So you see it's a little bit more powerful than you might think. Because if I had a bunch of YouTube videos on how to, and this is why my mind's gone to which one do I use to create those guided tutorials in the programming classes. If I can point it to a URL, then I can change that URL in theory. I haven't done that, but in theory, you can change that programmatically, and so that you can have it do different ones. You see there's a loop option. The wait for a first frame, as I understand it, is a so you don't have any kind of missing frames in your video. So we're waiting for the first frame, the game to start up, so it syncs it. That makes sense. Because the game will start before the video will fully load sometimes, depending on how big the video is. And so that's what that wait is. And play on awake, if I shut that off, I don't think it plays at all. Yeah, doesn't play at all. That plays it when it actually runs the game. Loop, of course, looping through. Skip on drop. I don't know about that. Playback speed, I didn't really understand. The idea is that if you have a video, you can play it real fast or real slow. And maybe if you had a little demonstration, like you had a help video for your game, and you wanted to go at real slow motion so somebody could understand how to do something, then that would. But I think that'd be better to create the video in another package, modify it, and then and have it control the speed. But if I change this like 10, you're gonna see the video go very fast. Or not play at all, I suppose. 0. What would I do? Still frame, I guess. Now, if I change that to camera near plane, I never played with this, but I don't think it'll play. You can still hear it. The audio is still there, but the far plane is what allows it to play in your background. And to be honest, I've never used camera near plane, so I don't even know what it's for. I know your video still plays, but that's about the extent of it. You can play the transparency on here. You see there's a volume. This used to be separate. In older versions of Unity, you had to add an audio source. You had to control that. Well, they got that as part of the video player now. So you can change that. This is how it fits a screen, fits the quad or whatever you're putting it in. So you can fit it vertically, horizontally, fit inside, so forth. I'm trying to remember what alpha is. I don't know if that's the transparency. Let's see. Or not transparency, opacity. It is the opacity. So if you're trying to have some kind of video play in the background, we loop it and shut the volume off so we don't have to hear me keep saying that. Now I could see that in terms of a game. Something that's real dim, kind of playing in the background like that. But then again, I don't have very creative minds, so people with a real creative mind can figure out probably wonderful, wonderful uses for all that. Is there any questions on those different pieces there? Okay, now instead of it just taking up the entire background, let's say you wanted to play on a quad. You can think of that as like a rectangle on your screen. So that's what this next part talks about. I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna delete this. So delete video player. So we're starting over. We've just again downloaded our video. We've imported it into assets. So we just did step 1, import the video clip into assets. We want to create our empty game object. So right click here and create empty. And again, give it a name. I'll come over here to the inspector, click on the name and call it video player. We want to actually drop on the component, a video player. So I'll click add component. And here's video player. Then drag and drop the video onto the video clip. So take our clip down here and drag and drop it up here. Now we're going to be making an association between our video clip and a render texture and a quad. So that's what's going to allow us to take that video clip as a texture and apply it to a rectangle. So this says to do a asset create render texture. So assets create render texture right there. That's given it's down here in our assets now. And I could give it a name. I'll call it text one. So texture one. You see it over here in the inspector. Now it's not actually part of our game up here at this point. And then we want to drop on our quad, our rectangle that we can then play the video in. So do game object, 3D object, quad. Now I suppose in theory, you could play this on anything, a cube and so forth. But since we're in 2D, probably a quad is the only thing that maybe makes sense. Now, when this is on here, you can drag and drop this to wherever you want the video to play. You can resize it by clicking those blue circles, moving it down. So moving, again, move and resize is appropriate, whatever you're wanting to achieve. Now here's where we start to make the connection. We want to drop the render texture created in step 5 onto this quad. Now here's our quad right here, and it's currently up here in a hierarchy. You see the quad right there. Our render texture is not anywhere on our hierarchy. It's down here in our assets. So I'm going to click this and I'm going to drag and drop it onto here. Like that. You could also drag and drop it over here in the inspector. But we now have the text one associated with that. Now I'll go ahead and expand that. On step 9, so in the inspector for the quad, expand. Expand. Okay, so in the inspector for the quad, expand the render texture, change shader from standard to sprite's default. So up here where it says standard, do the, oops, try that again. Do the drop down on that. Well, this has changed. Unless I'm not clicking on the right thing. Render texture, expand to change shader. Shader's up here. Standard to sprite's default. Okay, that still has sprite, still does the default, but that's changed from the previous version. What it looks like anyway. Okay, then go to video player, create it in step 3, and change the render mode to render texture if necessary. Mine at home was already set to render texture, but the various sources I looked at said you had to change that. And ours right here is set to render texture. So I think their information was based upon a previous version of Unity. Then we want to drag and drop the render texture created in step 5 onto the target texture. And what I mean by the texture is right here under the video player, we have a property for targeted texture. You can also do the little circle here and assign it that way. But if I take text 1 and drag and drop it onto target texture here, that makes the association. Now at this point, if I play this, we're going to wait on step 12 because I want to talk about it. Okay, first off, I need to rotate that. And so if I go to the rotate tool, I can choose that. Another way you can do that is come over here for the rotation for that quad. And I think I changed it to 270. I think was correct. Box. And let me play that. I'm trying to figure out where to shut the video off or the sound. Need my video player. I'll mute it, I guess. There we go. Okay, that is what was right, 270 degrees. Now, you may have to play with this. This doesn't look too bad, actually. But our video here is coming in as a certain size. Our texture is 256 by 256. So by changing this, you can achieve a different effect. If I just change the quad, though, you see it makes it bigger. So there's a couple different ways you can do that. I had messed this up last night. And that's why I put it in here as step 12 if you need to change it, if necessary. Change it to whatever size is appropriate. It's not always 1920 by 1080. Now, again, from the videos that I've read, if this size here does not actually match the dimensions of your video, then your quality is decreased. And I have to admit, my eyes aren't good enough to see the decrease in quality. But if you see that, then you'd want to come down to this, play that. And I assume somewhere here I could find out the size, maybe. Right click on that, say properties. Okay, it looks like under the properties you can get it. And maybe that's why I didn't notice it, because I wasn't working with that great of a quality video anyway. But you can see what kind of dimensions you have there to work with. Questions on playing that in a quad? Now we're going to see how to programmatically start a video and so forth. So you don't have to even have it playing. You know, this play on awake, you can have shut off like that. And so you could have your quad on a separate scene. And so that you go over to that scene, and then you could click a button or whatever and have it start playing a little tutorial on how to play the game, or a little backstory, or whatever you want. I know the backstory they have on most of the games at 3D games. It's been a while since I've played many 2D games. I guess I haven't played the PlayStation 3 and 4 so much that I don't remember that. But most backstory seems like they take up the entire screen. So probably that first technique might be more appropriate if it's on a separate scene. Because then you take your scene management, you load that scene, it plays the video. Um, and a lot of the games I'm thinking of, they don't have a way to pause the playback, but they do have a way to end them usually, like if you press escape or something like that. So at that point, you could, using your scene management, go back to your scene you're on. Okay, so now how to have a little bit more control over your video through code. And this is going to be specific to focusing on a canvas, but it doesn't have to be on canvas. It's just shows that. So this is playing a video on a canvas based on a key down event. Okay, let me clean up my game a little bit. Run my video player. Get rid of my quad. And I'm gonna delete this. And I'll just have my video imported here. Okay, step one, import the video clip onto the assets. Step two, we want to create our empty game object. So I'll come up here to the hierarchy, right click in the gray area, choose create empty. And I'll call this video player again. The empty game object, we again want to create a video player. So the add component, I click that, and video player still there. Here we're going to drag and drop the video clip onto video clip and shut off play on awake. So I'll drag and drop this on the video clip. Shut off play on awake. Maybe go ahead and loop it so it keeps on going. Now here we want to add a raw image to Canvas. So over here, your hierarchy, you can right click in the gray area. And where's the UI? There it is. UI, and choose raw image. And I don't know why Canvas isn't a little bit easier to work with. But if you have raw image shows right here, if you do an F for focus, it'll take you and focus in on the raw image you just dropped on. If I use my mouse wheel, I can scroll out. I'm holding down my mouse wheel, and then that moves the entire. So it looks like I need to move it up. So I'll choose my translate tool, move it up. Out there, and I can go to the game to see a preview. There's my raw image there. Now on the empty, the video player, we want to create a script. So go back to my video player, click Add Component, and type, it's already there, New Script. And call this Video Play. And then when it appears down here in the assets, I'll double click on that. Next step says put the following code in the script. In order to access the various parts of the components of Canvas, you have to import the user interface in. So come up here. No. There's a new version out. So using Unity Engine user interface. In order to use the video, you have to import in the code for it, the libraries. So using Unity Engine video. Now we're going to have a raw image, video player, and we don't need audio source. Do we need audio source? No, we don't need audio source. Okay, so we need a raw image and a video player. And that's right below here, the public class. So say public raw image, R image, and public video player. I call it V player. Now these are going to be connected over in Unity. So we're going to drop the raw image we created, drop the video player onto those on the script, and it'll be able to access those directly. Now, this prepares it's some code that we're going to be able to run, and it's not your standard method, so they call it IE numerator here, or IE numerator, I should say. And you can just think of this as a method that we're going to call. We're going to call it in a special way. So let me go ahead and just copy that over, and then I'll explain it. Oops. this, it's going to prepare the video player. Um, well, part of this is that we'd like the code to go ahead and run while it's preparing a video player. You know, if you're trying to load in a huge video, for example, um, you don't want your game to be paused for 5 minutes while it's loading in the video. So Unity allows you to go ahead and process it at the same time you're doing other stuff. That's kind of the idea behind it. So the IE enumerator is going to work in conjunction with our feature up above that allows us to do that. But since it's running off on its own, it's like its own thread that it's running off of. You have to have a check in there to say, "Are you done yet? Are you done yet? Are you done yet?" And that's what this is going to do. Now they've anticipated that you're going to have this feature, so they have something called wait for seconds that they defined, and I just called mine WFS, and it's going to wait for 1 second, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. This is going to keep checking while, and there's an exclamation there, vplayer dot is prepared. Now vplayer dot is prepared means it's ready. When you put the exclamation in front of it, we're saying while not ready. So while it's not ready, it's going and checking it over and over. Now this is just basically waiting 1 second. So that's what you can think of. So it checks this, then goes out here, waits 1 second. Then it checks it again, says, "Hey, is it done?" Okay, so when the video is ready, then it comes down here and makes the association between that raw image texture that we had and the video player texture. So it's connecting the two. This is what's going to take our video and play it on that raw image that we put on the canvas. Does that make sense what that code's doing? So then up here, we do this in the start, and we do our start coroutine. Now you put this in the start, and this prepares your video so it's ready to run whenever that is. Now it's not actually running it; it's just getting everything ready. This is a start coroutine versus just calling a method, because calling a method would sit there and wait till it was done. And again, we don't want the user to sit there for 5 minutes while a video is loading, perhaps. There's a lot of different places in game development where they'll preload assets so that when you reach them, they're ready and available. Probably not as big as it used to be. It used to be that was a big issue. Games that were first developed, you'd run it, and then when it had to bring in a new scene or something, you had like a pause, and it's like you're waiting. The smarter games had like put up a little logo or something circling to indicate it's loading or something to that effect. But the people who programmed it correct would anticipate you're getting ready to get to that last, the end of that level, into that scene or whatever, and then it would go ahead and preload all the other assets so they'd be readily available. Okay, so none of that's playing that yet. This is where we go into our update. And I don't think we need an audio source. I have a source here, but I don't think I need that. I think I'm lying. I might need that. what the audio source gives you is it gives you a lot more control over the audio portion versus it just playing. Okay, so let me put that back here. Public audio source, a source. Okay, go ahead and save that. Now, if I come over to my video player where my script is, you see I got the raw image, the video player, and the audio source here. Now, if I choose the raw image, then here's the raw image here. The video player, here's the video player. I wonder if there is no audio source. Okay, I think I'm lying then. We don't need the audio source. Part of that is just playing last night because everything I found video game or video wise did not match the version I even had on my computer at home, which is older than this one. And it used to be the audio source was separate. Okay, so we got that. Now if I click play, and now if I do P, there's my, but I want to rotate this. Let me see, it's a raw image I want to rotate, so I'll do that 270 degrees. Click that. Okay, so nothing's playing, but if I do a P, then that's how you can, through your program, control that. Now there's other options available, just not just play. Player dot. You see there's a pause. So wish I had a little bit longer video in there for that, but maybe I can go to YouTube. Let's change that to YouTube, and then we'll try to put some pause in here and some other options. So choose a video. I'll choose this one. I was trying to remember one that was real lengthy. There's one in here like 3 hours long. I can't remember which one it is now. Okay, so our video player. Set a video clip. I'll change that to URL. Paste that in there. Let me run that and see if there's anything else I have to do in terms of a URL. Okay, now if I do P, of course it might still be loading it in. Video player cannot play the URL. Wonder why I can't play it. Maybe it doesn't play YouTube videos. Try a different one. Okay, Control V. Got a different video. And in addition to that, I want to go to my code here. Debug.log. Yeah. Hey, I'm done. Save that. Go to my console. Okay, clear on build, clear on play. Okay. So it doesn't like this doesn't like had nothing to do with my play feature. Had to do with it loading it in. Cannot play that URL. So the question is, what can Unity play with the URL then? Video player, URL format. Okay, how to play videos in Unity using video player, how to get started with Unity streaming YouTube videos. 4 minutes. That should be enough to watch. I didn't play with the URLs last night. Fortunately, I think that yeah, it was indicating it's one of these ones with no sound. I don't know if those people don't have tons or what exactly, but I know they're not all have a physical disability. Some people just don't like their voice on YouTube for some reason. Um, Implies that you have to that you use a library for .NET written in C# allows us to download videos from YouTube and or extract our audio. That's not what I want. I want something a little bit more seamless since it appears to be part of Unity. Um, MP4 is only one supported. It is in Spanish. That's too hard. To include the library in your project, YouTube Extractor allows you to create a streaming link. Oh, yeah, I don't think I want to play that today. What if I can find a video? Um, okay, so I'm going to look for file type. No MP4. I have a PDF. Okay, so file type MP4. Let's format it. Um, 4. GodTube. By the way, I'm not just specifically picking a religious video here. I just very uneasy about searching for videos in Google online. I don't know what might pop up, so I figure if I throw Christian in there, I'm hopefully it won't come up with anything bad. Though I'm starting to remember a free sound site I can go to. Let's see. The what? Well, I'm looking for a link where I can link it to a MP4 file or file out there somewhere. But this may not be what I want because I don't know if you can link to it directly. Okay, here's Vision Videos. That's got to be good. It says Christian. No inappropriate video should pop up. Except for these ones you got to buy. Free. Thousands of videos, audios, and books. Certificates invalid. I wonder if that's okay to go to. Start of the week. It's got to be safe, right? Okay, so what is this? This is a video title. Put my mouse over it. It says WMV, AVI, of course, no MP4s. But maybe it's sports ad. Okay, so let me right click on this, copy that, copy link address, Control V. By the way, the videos I watched on this indicated that you really got to be careful about your codecs, what's supported on your platform you're trying to develop this for. Because not all codecs and so forth are available on if you're developing for your Android phone, for example. That's one example somebody gave. Android phone is not based upon licensed codecs, but maybe more of the free ones. Okay, let's see if that loads. Okay, let me rotate that back. And it looks like it likes that. It has some errors here. Not sure what that's about, but we'll go with it. And make my raw image a little bit bigger. And you notice when I run it, watch the console down here. Notice how it takes some time before it starts playing. I'm going to shut off the audio on it. View player. That's why it's necessary to have that coroutine that you saw, because of that lag. And at any point in time, you could be loading in the video. So if I was creating like my tutorial, I wouldn't necessarily want to load in every video at the very beginning, but maybe when we get further down, we're 75% into that tutorial. That's when I could load in that video in anticipation that they might want to play it. So okay. So now it's on. Now it's playing. I shut off the play on awake, and I'll make sure my code still works with the P. Now see, it comes back and tells me, "Hey, I'm done." I'm guessing if I hit P before it comes back and tells me that, it'd probably give me an error. So probably my code's not perfect. If I click that now and I'm gonna press P immediately when it goes to blue. Well, didn't give me an error. Okay. So now we got it playing. Well then let's put a pause in there. Maybe space bar will pause it. If input dot get key down key code dot space. Then vplayer dot pause. It's a method, so I need to parentheses there. Now if I save this and run it, okay, so I'm all loaded there. If I do a P to play it, it's coming here. If I press my space bar, you see it's now paused. If I press my space bar again, it doesn't start playing. So what I can do over here is I could check this. If I press the space bar, I can have my if statement here. If vplayer dot is playing, or I could choose it is paused, I guess. If it's paused, then I want to play it. Else, I want to pause it. This is a Boolean flag to see if the video is currently paused. Okay, so now I'm going to do a P for playing. Do my space bar, that paused it. If I do my space bar again, it plays it again. I'm really surprised this is coming back fast. This archive.org is not always the fastest website. Have you ever been to archive.org? It's got historical um, historical videos on there, free videos, and so forth. It's got sounds, all for free. It's got books, books that have, if the author has been dead for 70 years, then the book can be put out there for free. And so you find all the classics out there and so forth. I didn't go to it directly this morning for creating this video because there is one section in there that has some, I wouldn't say they're like X-rated videos, but they're not appropriate videos. So I didn't want to do anything in class that pop up with anything inappropriate. After what they're not safe for work. So I'm not pushing religion here when I'm going to this. I just want to choose something safe. So okay. Now again, I'll wait for first frame. I'm not sure, but I would have swore, though it didn't do this last time. I would have swore that it started playing the audio before it paused. And that could be what that wait for first frame does. And anyway, there are the other items they have. If I wanted to stop the video, oops, not there. S. Eco.s. So S for stop. Then dplayer.stop. Would be how we do that. Again, there's just so many options with the V player. Here's stop. Enable audio track. Sounds like you can shut off the audio. So I would assume there'd be a mute method. All these little cubes are things you can call. Some of them more meaningful than others. The little wrenches are something query. You can check to see if it's paused, if it's playing, if it's prepared. This would be what I'd want to do before you even try to play it. So if it's not prepared, then I don't want to necessarily play it. Now we're doing that over in the start. Remember, the start doesn't pause the entire game until it's prepared. Pause, play, prepare. I don't know what send message does in terms of videos. Step forward. That almost sounds like a where you fast forward. Stop. I wonder if there's rewind. I did. I just went past it. I'd be surprised if there wasn't, though. If input dot get key down, key code dot F for fast forward, vplayer dot step forward. That's all there is. That's interesting. I never played with step forward. Okay, so I'm gonna play it first, I guess. There's that. Pressing F. Fast forward appears to stop it, and then you can fast forward. The question becomes, instead of putting that on key down, if I put it on get key, I should be able to hold down the F and have it fast forward. Okay, so it's now loaded. Do P for play. I do F and I hold down the F. Of course, the thing is, I don't know if that's going to fast forwarding any more than just regular play. So it doesn't look like it's going to super speed or anything. It could be that changing the playback speed would be a better way of fast forwarding. Because if you have this set there, he's speaking a lot faster now. Okay. Is there any questions on video player? Well, I'm just gonna put an assignment out there where I want you to play video on a quad. So nothing exciting. You don't have to create a game or anything to put it in. But we're just and then you pick out the video. Um, there you can create your own if you have some kind of webcam. Um, I think it'll put it. Yeah, it'll put it in MP4 format. Um, if you want to go out to archive and risk it, you go out there. This one might be a safer site. Whether and I'm not just talking about you, Kyle, but I'm talking about anybody. Whether you're religious or not, you can go out here and not worry about have something inappropriate popping up. So, and use the URL instead. But that's the assignment. I'll go ahead and stop the video and I'll create the Dropbox for that.